Okay. First order of business today is committee district reports. Oh, Pledge of Allegiance. How did I miss that? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, now we will do committee member district reports. District 1.
The events have kind of slowed down in the Kingman area as the weather is getting colder, so I haven't really attended any in the since our last meeting, but I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving next week and hope you all have a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thank you very much. District 2.
Okay, I went to the Bullhead City Complete Count meeting on October 28th, and I updated them on what's going on in the county. We discussed community outreach plans, and we're scheduled to have a table at the farmers market, and I think Corn Fest is already over. So in April, the city's going to have a Census Carnival, and it's going to be free to anyone that signs up and puts their info in. We also discussed weak reporting areas and children in general, and a lot of them are the children under 5. So we need to kind of find out how we can get to them. And also the outlining areas, a lot of people don't have internet, so we have to try and get them to utilize our library. And on December 6th, myself and my committee and Kate McDonald will be in the Boombox Parade. So, and we're they're gonna try and do a float up for us, or we'll walk with census stuff and start handing it out. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. And for District 3, I will report for Gaynell. On November the 12th, 2019, I was a guest speaker at the Western Welcome Monthly Club meeting, speaking on Census 2020. I gave an overview of how and when the Census Bureau was instituted and what the statistics were used for. The importance of participation was emphasized and what it means to the community to leave those tax funds that were already paid returned to the community. Also highlighted was the possible scams and the timetable for the release of the forms, etc. And this part is starred. I had printed material for handouts. I used the 2-sided page that was included in our training packet titled How the 2020 Census Will Invite Everyone to Respond. I also found a couple of useful handouts from the following website, which is www.consumer.ftc.gov. I'm not going to read all the rest of that. It's very long. From the first page, I used the questions asked link to print the page that shows the exact questions asked. I have scanned and attached for your review. Supervisor Johnson's office gladly printed these handouts for me, so no additional costs were incurred. All of the handouts were taken by the approximately 150 attendees. I was able to answer all of the questions by the audience, and there were quite a few. And I am continuing to contact with the Lake Havasu City team, which is ramping up for January through March push of Census 2020 Complete Count, respectfully submitted by Gaynell. And so she has attached, and I believe everyone got a copy of that, the fact versus fiction and the questions. So everybody has that to review. So thank you for that. And then District 4. You're 5 and I'm looking at you. I'm 4. It's been a day.
You already gave a speech.
Yeah, I was done. So I did contact Reality Store, and they didn't feel like that the Reality Store was the proper place for us to do the census, so I will not be doing that tomorrow. I did go to the City Council meeting the other night, and I know they have a very good presentation done, and they've got lots of stuff here for the actual city of Kingman. So they are more than happy to share all of their information with us and the presentation, PowerPoint and everything that they have done. So we can partner with them on that because I know our merge. And then I also went on the website and just looked kind of what Gaynell did at the Census 2020 FAQs, and there's another one that's the Census 101, What You Need to Know. And I felt like those were the two best handouts out there. I have met with Jean, and she kind of felt like this was more important to hand out actual information than goodies. We talked maybe about hot flash fans or a magnet or something to put on your refrigerator to remind you, but she wasn't really a fan of the koozies and the frisbees and things like that. She felt like it was more of us getting the information out than that. So, and she also has forwarded her calendar to me of events in the outlying areas of Dolan Springs, Chloride, and Meadview and that. So her and I will be attending together, or I'll be going as I can. So we are moving forward on that. So that is my report of District 5.
Okay, District 5, we participated in the Veterans Day Parade, had a little float there, a little census float, and a lot of handouts. Of course, we got to throw candy and answered a lot of questions. Oh, we did take first place, too, with our with our float.
Oh, gee.
But we had fun. It was interesting. There was a lot more people there, actually, than I thought there would be. So other than that, pretty much just keeping up with trying to get people to help me. I keep getting people, and then they back out. So I'm having a hard time in the Fort Mojave and Mojave Valley area mostly. But I get one, and then you ask them to do the first thing, and then boom, they're gone. So I'm doing a lot of that myself. So that's about it for District 5.
Okay, thank you. And I guess I'm back up a little bit here on the light parade here in Kingman. Maybe that's something that you and I could partner and do that. So maybe we can talk afterwards about setting that up. That'd be probably a good one. And I believe it's a red, white, and blue stars and stripes theme, so it kind of goes along with it. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Be a good place to get information out. Okay, so number 2, discussion and possible action regarding approval of the September 18th, 2019 and October 16th, 2019 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion we approve both September 18th and the October 16th meeting minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passed. All right. Item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding select and approve a logo for the Mojave County Census 2020 Complete Count Committee to use on all advertising and merchandise. Who wants to go first? Start with District 1. Did you have stuff, Nicole, you wanted to share, or is this the handout here?
I believe there's a handout in here, but I did not provide this. So I think Jeannie did, or Karen did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it here. I got it. Okay. Yeah. It got mixed in with my stuff. So any comments?
I like the basic one that's the easiest to read, and I like it where it shows up really good. It seems to, the way they do their logo too, with the white underneath and then the blue background, it seems to show up really good that way. There's 4 choices of color.
So you're looking at...
Well, basically, I guess impact number 1.
Okay.
Just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I believe that's the one that I would choose as well.
Myself.
Okay.
And then the blue color?
I like the blue because
And the
it's
blue.
like the red, white, and blue, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
blue. All right.
I would agree.
Right.
So, do we need to make a motion to...
Okay.
Approve it.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
Motion to approve the number 1 Impact Census logo in the color of blue.
Okay,
I'll second it.
all right. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Very good. All right, number 4, discussion and possible action regarding approve ordering the promotional items listed in the backup and the budgeted dollar amounts. Excuse me.
Oh, I sent it to you.
And I don't...
Yeah, we can just decide what we need to order, but we need to write down.
So did we...
She's bringing up her email.
Okay,
She's
great.
got a list of it.
I'm sure I have it printed out here from last time, but
You have one printed?
I'm looking to see if...
Well, I can kind of remember the items.
And I know we talked about koozies, we talked about frisbees, we talked about
Oh, yeah.
buttons.
I know some of the main items that we had talked about also were banners to put out at county buildings and to have to take to events. So I think that was one of them. And then also the car magnets to put on fleet vehicles. That was another one that we had discussed. So,
And I did get a price on the banners out at H&H Printers. Their banners are $6 a square foot. So whatever we would decide to go with, $6 a square foot was the price on that.
yeah, and I had priced some on Costco.com and another site, which they were pretty inexpensive. But then I was talking to Jeannie about it, and she had thought that we could possibly get them printed right here at the county, because that's where she's got her banners printed, and then that way the money is staying in-house as well.
And the car magnet.
Yeah, and the car magnets would be printed here by the county services as well.
I like that idea. And I did look at car magnets as well, and they were very expensive, what I looked at, and I was like, we can't
Yeah.
do that.
So I've already priced the car magnets with the county here, Public Works, and they gave me the prices, which was included in that last meeting.
Okay.
And so Jeannie had said the banners are fairly priced as well. So those, I think we should probably stick with that here. And then some of the other items, I think one of them that you had on there was the
Emery boards.
Emery boards that we had
And
discussed. Yeah, and notepads and the tattoos, the
Oh, yeah.
children's tattoos.
Okay.
So what are we going to have to get everything together and give it to Jeannie with all of our quotes? Who's going to purchase items and with, what credit card, a county credit, excuse me, county credit card, or how are we going to do that? And Jeannie's not here, so I'm assuming since she's part of this that she will take care of the ordering.
Yeah, I would think that that would be the best way to do it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to move forward. And like I said, when I talked to Jean, she just wasn't really a fan of buying all of the extra stuff to just hand out. She was more about information. She actually suggested maybe candy with putting little stickers on it because people would actually take it and look at it. I don't think she was opposed to some of the, like maybe the Emery boards or the notepads, because that's something people would have on their
And won't throw it
desk
away,
and use. Yeah, but the koozies and the frisbees and stuff, she said, I don't know why we're spending money on that type of stuff. That was just her opinion.
And since we can get the banner here, we can go ahead and get like a sign for us to take to put up on the tables each time we go
Or
from
banner
here
to
too.
tape to the front of the table or something.
Yeah, or one that'll stand up depending on the situation.
When I had presented that,
I usually use a clear plastic thing and stick them inside the clear plastic thing.
That's what I was going to say, is basically the small posters or something.
8.5
and put them in
by
those and
11
save
size.
the money, as opposed to huge banners and stuff.
Because if it's inside, you can use the banner and you can use the stand-up, but a lot of times you can't use the banner hardly outside because it's too windy, and if you have one of those cardboard, they've run all over the place.
We still want some to hang up at the.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, those are different, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what, when we had done that, we had discussed and agreed to, I think budgeted for about 13 county buildings.
Okay.
In that, the Excel itemized budgets that I had provided that meeting. And you could, I mean, probably for not that much, you could get smaller ones and, like you said, tie to the tables. And if you could use it, you can use it, you know. If you don't want to, you don't have to, type of thing. But they're not too costly.
Okay. So should we get like maybe one for each district?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Because some of the events now that I know here, the season's getting colder, it's going to be more inside. So, and we're talking January, February, March, the cold season.
The coldest
I'm not going to
months,
be
right.
outside in those months. Some of the other areas might be, but I'm not going to be. And maybe you and I could even not get one for each of our districts, since we're going to be
we can
sharing here, and we
share.
can pass it back and forth.
That's true.
I don't know how much money it will really save if we're going to be pinching pennies that much over
$6 a bag.
over like
Well,
$15.
yeah, if it's going to be that small of an amount, I would say let's just go ahead and each get one. And then that way, if I happen to be, you know, out in chloride and you need to go to Wiki Up, we don't have to try to meet for that amount of money. I don't see trying to coordinate it.
Yeah. So you said the emery boards and then the notepads.
And the tattoos, maybe,
Yeah.
for the kid.
I think all of those are, do we want to come up with amounts on those? Are we?
We already have them.
We already have all of that?
All
Okay,
budgeted
great.
out.
Okay, all right. So then we'll get the 13,
Plus
Um,
5.
yeah, plus 5
18.
more, right, 18 total, okay.
18 banners. How many car magnets did you say?
They had said 205 for their active
Oh, wow,
fleet
okay.
vehicles.
Okay.
All right,
And the amounts on the other stuff was on at our last meeting, so I'll just forward it to Jeannie.
okay, great, thank you. So do we need a motion on, is that basically your motion? Or
Yeah.
you need to make a
Well-
motion? Okay,
Make a motion that we approve ordering the promotional items that were discussed at our last meeting, and this will include 18 banners, 205 car magnets for the county vehicles, emery boards, I believe the amount was 10,000, and notepads was 10,000. Tattoos, how many did you say, Deborah?
I'm thinking probably my area is smaller than your guys's in a way, but I would say I would need at least probably about 5,000 to get.
Okay, yeah, we'll do 5,000 then. I'll tell her that too. I'll hand this off to Jeannie.
okay, great. Second?
I second.
Before we make a vote on that, let me just double check one thing. I was looking at the board agenda that the Board of Supervisors voted on.
Okay.
They voted and approved to the request for financial support in the amount of $20,000 to include travel, promotional items to include banners, signs, car magnets, and giveaways, $13,000. I'm just making sure we're under that.
Yeah.
Great. We're following that? Okay, make sure we follow that. Great.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, discussion and possible action regarding a presentation on counting for dollars 2020.
Not on here either.
I shut the mic off. There's 2 quick presentations that I put together in hopes to try to help us in regards to funding that comes into state, county, and such. When we're out talking to individuals, it will help us educate them in regards to funding. So the first one, you do have a packet there that was handed out. It's this main one right here. And it's called Counting for Dollars 2020. And in this one, we are going to have It talks about there are 300 federal programs in the U.S. that allocate over $800 billion a year based on this 2010 census-derived statistics. In this report, it states that there's not a way to draw a line between the number of people counted and the state dollars received because of the fact that there's so many programs and they use different information. Some might use the age, some might use poverty levels, some might use income or location regarding rural or urban areas. So when we think of all these 300 federal programs, you can't take all that money and divide it by your citizens, and that's the income or loss of for the dollars received. There are some programs that you can do that, and we'll touch on that later. This report, it does show how to calculate the direct impact of a census undercount on federal allocation of funds for several programs that do help the state. The only program that we're going to talk about here is called the Federal Medical Assistance Percentage. It's also referred to as FMAP. FMAP is a federal funding formula that's used to determine the percentage of each state's expenditures on medical and social service programs that will be reimbursed by the federal government. So there's 5 grant programs that use this FMAP number to determine reimbursements to and payment from each state's government. It's administered by the Department of Health and Human Services. The first one is Medicaid. And then we have Children's Health Insurance Program, Title IV-E Foster Care, Title IV-E Adoptive Assistance, and Child Care and Development Fund. So in each state, they can have a maximum FMAP of 83%, and the minimum is 50%. And this is from federal statute. So how is the FMAP used? For example, if a state's FMAP is 83%, the U.S. Department of HHS reimburses 83 cents for each dollar spent. In that formula is the per capita income. So how the state's per capita income is determined is you take a state's total residents, total income, you divide that by the state's total population, and that gets you your per capita income. So why do we care about this PCI or FMAP? And how does it affect us as a state? So the state's total income does not change as it comes from the state's total income, the state's total population, total income. But the state's population does change as this comes from the population counted in the decennial census. So if there's an undercount, the state's population would go down. So the result is your income will stay the same, but you'll account for fewer residents, which will give you a larger PCI. The outcome is a larger PCI creates a smaller FMAP, which in turn means less reimbursement to the state by the HHS, okay? So here it's a map and it shows the states and it has a range for each state what their FMAP is for the fiscal year 2015. Arizona's FMAP in 2015 was 68.46%. In this slide, it shows on page 3 in that pamphlet that you have there. For fiscal year 2015, Arizona had a loss per person of $887 in the FMAP program, as you can see right there. This was due to an undercount in the 2010 census. There's a few appendix that we're going to look at here, and you can look more in depth, but I think they're pretty important when we're out there talking about funding and such in regards to funding that's come in or loss of even that affects the state, which affects all the citizens. So in this one, it's talking about funds for each of the 5 programs. And you can see there on the left, there's the total for the state of Arizona, and then it breaks it out for Medicaid, traditional, Medicare Part D clawback, and then the other programs, so on to the right. So that was total funding for fiscal year 15. The next appendix that we're talking about in the table, it is showing the funding loss in fiscal year 2015 for each person missed in the 2010 census for these 5 FMAP guided programs. So right here you can see this is that number that I referenced, that 887, and to the right it breaks it down in detail. So you can see the major loss was under Medicaid traditional, which was $821 per person. The last one is talking about the loss of funding in fiscal year 15 for the 5 programs with an additional 1% census undercount. So you can see at the bottom there, it shows a 1% undercount of 2010 population, which was 63,920. Our official number in Arizona was 68.46. With the plus 1% undercount, that brought it down to a 67.84. And to the right there, it shows you the loss in federal dollars allocated towards the state due to that undercount. How I see myself using this information in the future is I know when I used to go out, in my old job, I would travel out on rural roads, rural. And a lot of what I heard was people, well, we live out here, why should we care about the roads? Because the main thing that I hear with the census funding is, you want better roads or, schools or whatever. This is talking about Medicaid, which I think affects a large amount of our population. And so that's something we could say, I understand you aren't affected by that part of it. However, do you understand that this part might affect you or people you know? So I thought this is good to help us when we're out there talking. That's the main reason why I did this one. You can ask questions about it, but pretty much all the information that I didn't create any of this, I just plucked and pulled it from this report here. So you should be able to reference it back to whatever you need to find in here, okay? And then,
So was this in a PowerPoint that would be available for us to take out, say if we want to go to Rotary or
yeah, I can email it. Yeah, I can email it to Karen. One of the things that I plan to do is, go talk to maybe, I think it's the Catherine Heigl Center, which I think would be a huge one, was speaking with that population to help them understand why it could be beneficial. But yeah, I can email it to her and then she can get it out to everybody.
Okay, and I would even think at the hospital, like through their lunch and learns, or if you want to do a chamber morning mixer or something, we can do that as well.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. And then I have another one, which is the next agenda item.
Great. Item number 6. Discussion and action, presentation on the community-specific census-guided federal funds.
Okay. This one, I do have the reports that I will be referencing. We will get those emailed out to you guys. There's the data that I'm talking about, again, is in these reports. And this is more community-specific for the census-guided federal funds. So this speaks to Mojave County as well as the state, and shows you how the funding comes down for these programs. So in this, we're going to be talking about 5 different programs that affect our county specifically. We're going to be referencing 2 reports. Like I said, you will get a copy of those, and we just don't have them right now. And they are provided, again, by the George Washington Institute of Public Policy at the George Washington University. The first one is going to be the thicker packet of the 2. And it's titled The Distribution of Census-Guided Federal Funds to the U.S. Communities, and talking about these 5 programs. And the second one is more Arizona-specific, which also incorporates Mojave County. And it's talking about those same 5 programs. The 5 programs that we're talking about use census data that allows for clear tracking of the funds to the specific communities. And we're going to be talking about fiscal year 2017 in this presentation. The first program is called Title I Grants to Local Education Agencies. You might hear people refer to LEAs to shorten it. That stands for the Local Education Agencies. The next one is talking about Community Development Block Grants. You may have heard people say CDBG, and that's what they're talking about, short for the Community Development Block Grant. And then our next program is Workforce Innovative and Opportunity Acts. Under the Workforce Innovative and Opportunity Act, there's 3 programs where that funding is broken out between those 3. The first one's youth activities, and then adult activities, and dislocated worker programs. We're going to skip past the Title I grants to LEAs because we'll get into more at the end. So the first one we want to talk about is the CDBG. It's administered by the Housing of Urban Development, known as HUD. And again, 2017 numbers. These are some big numbers, so I mean, I could read them out, but you'd be like, oh. So we'll just go through and I'll show you how they're broken down from the state, or I'm sorry, from the US down to the state, down to the county. So US funds is about a little over $3 billion, down to Arizona, just $39 million. Now on this, Mojave County, they do not receive CDBG money from the Department of HUD. Theirs comes from the State of Arizona Department of Housing. So I'm not sure if the funding is census driven or not, but Mojave County does receive money, but it comes from the state, not the federal government. So in this report, you'll see when you look through, there will be nothing for Mojave County, and that is why. This money does come into our community services department here, and I'm not sure how it's allocated out, and like I said, and how it comes in. That would be something more that department could discuss. Our next program is the Workforce Innovative and Opportunity Act, which that is administered by the Department of Labor in the 2017 fiscal year numbers. That's the US funds to be distributed between the states. Arizona receives $55 million, and down to Mojave and La Paz County is 1.8. Now on this, it says Mojave and La Paz County, as you'll see it says in that report. This money comes in to, again, our community service department here. I'm not sure how the funds are broken out, if it's, county, this county gets this county gets this. I'm just referencing strictly this report, and this is what it says, okay? As we discussed earlier, there's 3 programs that these funds are broken out between. And so I'm going to go through and show you how the 1.8 is broken out. Youth activities is $719,000. The dislocated worker activities is the $442,000, and the adult activities is $729,307. Now we're going to get into talking about the Title I grants to local education agencies. This provides financial assistance to schools and school districts with the high percentage of children from low-income families. So I know we talk about how we need these school children counted. This is kind of get into more of that, and we could say, hey, do you realize this is how this impacts our community if you are not counted? This ensures that all children meet state academic standards. So these funds are allocated to state education agencies based on the results from 4 statutory grant formulas. I'm not going to get into those formulas. They are in this report here. That's a little over my head, but I'm just going to touch on the names of those grants and kind of the age and the poverty and income that it does impact. So the first one's basic grants, concentration grants, targeted grants, and education grants. So as you can see, most of these are ages 5 through 17, and it affects low income and poverty level children. So that's why it's so important that we reach out and we get those individuals counted to receive this funding. Some activities that schools and school districts can use the funds for are school-wide programs that serve all children. So just because the money comes in, from what I understand in this, it doesn't mean that it just serves those children. It serves the entire program. School-based accountability, promoting parental participation, and coordination with health and social service agencies. Now we're going to get into the funding breakdown from the U.S. to the state to our area. This is administered by the U.S. Department of Education. That's total U.S. funds, total Arizona funds, and then the funds to Mojave County, the $9.4 million. Mojave County received 2.7% of the state's total funding. So in this report, it references how a potential loss from a miscount could impact the Title I allocations. Now, this is going to talk more on a national level, not a county level, because I don't have one of the numbers that is needed to calculate this, but I'm sure I could get it, and then we could discuss that later. Total U.S. funds that we saw on the slide before. If you divide that by the number of children ages 5 to 17 in poverty nationwide, that was the 9.1 million. That estimates an average loss per person of $1,695, which is pretty big. And I'm sure our number would be smaller than that, but still pretty eye-opening. So next we're going to talk about the programs that can be used, a per person income, and this comes from here. So these are two programs that we do get money per person counted. So in the State Share General Revenue Fund, we get $160. Highway User Fund is $83. And that number, about rounded, was $244 based on the next slide. In the bigger picture, a per 10,000 person population is 2.4 million. So that's what we receive per person counted. And that's just for these two programs. That's not talking about those other programs. So on this slide, it shows you the total general fund of the 160, the total HERF of $83, which shows the 244. And over here on the right is where it references the per 10,000 population number down at the bottom, that 2.4 million. So that is pretty much all I have. I know it's a lot of numbers, but when we're out talking in the community, hopefully you can go back through and pick out, each person you talk to, what you can use from this information and help encourage people to participate.
Thank you very much. That was very informative. And then, is it okay, do either one of you want to say anything? Kate, we didn't have a call to the public at the beginning.
Well, I'm sorry, we don't have a call to the public on the agenda.
Right.
So you can only address items on the agenda. What is she addressing?
Okay.
He works for the census.
Oh, so what particular agenda item are we talking about?
Well, there could be discussion, possible action regarding the last two presentations, I would imagine.
So addressing this last presentation. So we can only discuss items that are on the agenda, and we don't have a call to the public on here, so we can't bring a call to the public.
Okay.
So it can only be an item on the agenda. So
Thank you.
Maybe we can have her back.
Yeah, can we add her to the next agenda?
yeah, that's good. That sounds good. I'm sorry, I don't want to be rude about it, but just we got to make sure we follow that. I'm not the boss. No, I'm not. But just want to.
But he does.
But I think we can do it at the next meeting when we can get to know you a little bit better. So.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for being here. Okay. Anything further from anyone?
I just want to let everybody know I won't be at the next meeting. I'll be on vacation, so I want to see my grandbaby.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Okay. Well, thank you for all those numbers. Yeah, you did.